Shalom. Kalalal Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai Ba'ashem Rakakodash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of the great millstone, and all the elders who rule well. Peace and salutations unto the brothers, the Akiam, pushing this truth throughout the four corners of the earth in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever. To the scattered, the speckled bird Israelites, who will be scattered around the four corners of the earth, I say Shalom, and I say Shalom unto the few and faithful Akwat, listening and learning. This is your brother Yerushalayim from the GMS Prophetic Vibrations Camp out of Trinidad and Tobago, coming at you with another video through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai Ba'ashem Rakakodash. Now this video will be entitled President Trump is already a dictator. Alright? Because this is the facts, right? President Trump holds executive powers, right? And these executive powers, him signing off on the executive orders, make him a dictator. Alright? Now, before I read this article, let me just jump into a scripture here, favorite of Great Millstone. This is the book of Job, chapter 9, verse 24. Alright? The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? And of course, that going back to the covering that Esau have put over all the people, including Jacob, Israel. Most of people, a lot of people don't know who we are, right? It's only now people starting to wake up, alright? As the covering cast over all the peoples, right? That the scripture talk about covering cast, So they believe that they can keep this covering over everybody, and nobody's gonna wake up. And in other words, they'll rule forever. Alright, but Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai has another plan. Alright, let's go to this article here and take a read, right? So this article is entitled Trump Taps Emergency Powers as Virus Relief Plan Proceeds. Alright, and just as we thought, this COVID-19 hoax, right? This pandemic, alright, it's just being used, it's just really being used to in order to give Trump, executive powers, and that's really what it's all about, right? Give them the power, make them richer, first of all, and of course give him the powers to do what the elites want him to do their bidding. Alright? So that's basically what this whole thing is about, which is to reset the economy. Let's take a read here. Alright? Washington AP, describing himself as a wartime president fighting an invisible enemy. I wonder who that enemy is. Alright? Alright? Now we know President Donald Trump on Wednesday invoked rarely used emergency powers. And mind you, this article was written since in March the 18th, 2020. So since that time, he's had these powers, right? He can pretty much do what he wants as a dictator. Alright? So there's no democracy as they like to say it. Alright? So let's continue reading here. President Donald Trump on Wednesday invoked rarely used emergency powers to marshal critical medical supplies against the coronavirus pandemic. Trump also signed an aid package, which the Senate approved earlier Wednesday, that will guarantee sick leave to workers who fall ill. Trump tapped his authority under the 70-year-old Defense Production Act. Alright, 70-year-old Defense Production Act. Why? A lot of these acts were brought in, these executive orders were brought in the 60s and so forth. And before that, 70-year-old Defense Production Act to give the government more power to steer production by private companies and to try to overcome shortages in mass ventilators and other supplies. Really and truly, it's just to make the elite richer. Alright, so because they own shares in all these companies that produce the masks, the ventilators, and the other supplies. Alright, including hand sanitizer. Alright. Now let's go. Yet, he seemed to minimize the urgency of the decision, later tweeting that he only signed the Defense Production Act to combat the Chinese virus should we need to invoke it in a worst case scenario. And we know it was their worst case scenario, you know. They're gonna plan what they have to plan, you know. Martial law is gonna come into effect. Alright, they know what they're gonna do. Hopefully there will be no need, he added. But we are all in this together, which is a big lie. Alright? Maybe he's talking about him and the elites of Esau, right? The mixed messaging came as Trump took a series of other extraordinary steps to steady the nation in its day-to-day life, suddenly and fundamentally altered. Alright? So I'll stop there. Let me see if there's anything lower down here. Yeah, I'll stop there because it just goes on here, but we basically get the idea. He invoked these emergency plans, right? These emergency powers, right? He invoked these emergency powers, which go back to the executive orders, right? Because these laws, if you understand the history of these laws, and the history and the understanding of how the American government is made up, a lot of the members of the government of the United States are made up of members of the Council on Foreign Relations. They hold pivotal key roles, right? Key roles, right? And so they can manipulate legislation, and other executive orders and what goes on, right? And all these executive orders that came into effect, on these legislation, they've been the one pushing it and molding it, to what they want in their communism, and how they want things to turn out, so they can eventually have all the power. Alright, let's go to a scripture here. Let's go to the scripture in the book of Isaiah, chapter 10, and verse 1. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that write grievousness which they have prescribed. And what's this talking about? The elites, and they all these wicked members of these Illuminati secret societies, right? Right, that's what they do in secret. To turn aside the needy from judgment, and to take away the right from the poor and of my people. And who's the poor? The Israelites, right? Blacks, Latinos, Native Americans, and whoever else, scattered around the four corners of the earth, right? That widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless, right? And what will ye do in the day of visitation, and in the desolation which shall come from far? Right, we're talking about what? The chariots in Yahushai. To whom will ye flee for help? And where will ye leave your glory? Because when Yahushai comes, he's going to clean them up. So woe to them who decree unrighteous decrees. Alright? Alright, let's go now to the book Satan's Angels Exposed, written by Salim Kurban. Alright? We're gonna go to page 219, because this is talking about a couple of the executive orders, mainly, Executive Order 11921. Alright, so this is Satan's Angels Exposed, page 219, the tragedy of Executive Order number 11921. Okay, perhaps you did not realize that the US government can freeze your bank account. The president now has the power to announce the existence of a national emergency via Executive Order 11921, and this was made in June 15, 1976. Alright, so they could control your bank account. Alright, they could freeze it, and you'll have no money. Alright, and we all know money is a defense, right? Number 11490, that's another executive order made in October the 30th, 1969. And other executive orders. These orders have behind them the force of the law. So that's why we read the previous scripture, right? Those who decree unrighteous decrees, right? They have the force of the law, which could be used to establish a federal dictatorship. Right? And that word federal should sound familiar, because when you look at the context of the Federal Reserve, right? It's nothing federal about it, right? It's just a company owned by the elites, right? They just slap a name on it, name called federal, and they say that it's all of a sudden it becomes this big government institution. It's just a big fat lie, right? He used to establish a federal dictatorship. Under these orders, federal agencies can, one, control all food supply. Okay, yeah, so we can see that here. All right, so they will be able to control who gets food and who don't get food. They will be able to control this manufacture, this famine too, which is coming up on the United States and around a lot of parts in the world. All right. Two, control all money and credit. All right, so you have it there. Control all transportation. All right, all transportation, and that's why the plane's not flying as well. Control all communication, which means what, they could tap into anybody's your phone records. They could spy on you. Listen to your conversations, your messages, your text. All right, and control all public utilities. So all this can come into being by the president merely signing a piece of paper that a national emergency exists. And that's exactly what Trump did. All right? That's exactly what Trump did. All right? So emergency banking regulations. All right, I'll just take a quick read through there. All right. Under the emergency banking regulation number 1, if this were to occur, your bank accounts would be immediately frozen, both checking and saving. So you see what they can do. You wouldn't be able to buy or sell, right? And they could bring in the microchip that easily, freeze your money, and you can't touch your money unless you take a chip. All right. You could be prohibited from making any withdrawals of cash. Well, yeah, that's given. All right. So are we going to buy food? All right. You could be prohibited from making any withdrawals of cash. You can be prohibited from writing any more checks without the bank's approval, except for customary account amounts. The bank would decide what is customary. Therefore, what they can basically stop the system from stop you from maybe purchasing more than you would purchase to maybe to stock up. They can stop you from withdrawing all your money, all right, from the bank, so the bank wouldn't fail, right? Point 4, no checks would be honored or any bank for any unauthorized purpose. All right, and they deem what is unauthorized, right? So therefore you have no freedom. All right, there's no freedom. All right, such actions in effect could allow a president so inclined to surrender the sovereignty of the United States and mold it into a one-world socialistic platform or pattern. And that's exactly what they did. All right, that's exactly what they did. That's exactly what's in effect right now. Right, it's one world order, and Trump is the lackey, or the follower of the elites. He does exactly what they say. All right, but there's more. Similar laws also allow the president to, 1, control or prohibit all CB radio transmission. Okay, so there you have it. Confiscate excess and surplus real and personal property owned by private citizens. So your house and your land is not your own, right? Okay, they could come and take your land and your house, which is why, as the brothers say, the elders say, get ready to be a pilgrim on this earth. All right. Point 3, ration virtually the entire output of the American industry. So they rationing the output, they rationing who gets money, who doesn't get money, and of course the large corporations owned by the elites, the 147 or so corporations, all right, owned by the elites global, they get a lot of the financing, they get the stimulus money, all right, from debt that's taken. Point 4 says, shut down every private school in the country and take possession of the buildings for government use. And why they're doing this, for government use? What? This is to house people. And why housing people for that? That's just going into the concentration camps, right? They'll run out of space in the main area camps, so they need the schools to house people too. All right. So there are hundreds of regulations included in this emergency powers plan, which includes seizing property, instituting of martial law. Right, so we know that's coming, martial law, and that's how they're gonna enforce this mandatory vaccination and microchipping. All right, controlling travel, all which in effect control the lives of American citizens. So you ain't got no freedom. All right, you don't have no freedom. All right, and that's just the facts. You know, Trump has already taken your freedom from you. Alright? You know, that's for those who lean onto the system, right? Who lean lean onto Egypt. Alright? And in fact, let me just go to a quick scripture there. I believe it's Isaiah chapter 36 and verse 6, right? Alright. Lo, thou trustest in the staff of this broken reed. Right, there's a broken reed. The economy is in a mess in America and around the world, right? Because most of the currencies around the world are fiat currencies and they're backed, pegged against the American dollar, right? So they're in a mess too, right? So if you're trusting in this broken reed, trusting in the beast system, right? This governmental structure, right? Right? Lo, thou trustest in the staff of this broken reed on Egypt, whereon if a man lean, it will go into his hand. And this is going into the microchip too. Alright? Alright? And pierce it. That's when you go into the word pierce. Alright?
Strong's H 5344. Nakav.
Yeah, nakav. To pierce, to perforate, to bore. To pierce, to bore. Alright, to be pricked. Alright, so that's this is in the Hebrew. But when you go to the New Testament in Revelation 13 and 16, you know, you have the word karagma, right? And karagma is given by the karax, right? And that karagma is also a piercing. Alright? That's also a piercing. So the scriptures just talking about the mark of the beast, going to the mark of the beast, right? This mark. Alright? So anybody those who trust in the system, that's what's going to happen to you. You're going to end up taking the mark of the beast. Alright? It will go into his hand and pierce it. So is Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Alright, and that's going into Trump as well. You know, to all that trust in him. Alright? So all that trust in him are fooled. Alright? They're fooled. Alright? And you know, if you go into, let's go into Revelation. That's for the new people. Revelation 13 and verse 16. And let's read it. Alright? And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. And this mark is in the Greek. Alright? Which is karagma. Alright? Karagma, which is a stamp, an imprinted mark. Imprinted mark. Alright? So it's under the skin, right? Just like the word we saw previously in Isaiah 33 and 6, right? When I said I was in Nakab. Alright? So that's what they're talking about. Those who trust in this system, you know. That's what's going to happen to you because they're lying. Right? Trump obviously wouldn't tell you the truth. Alright, so let's go to the book of Micah, chapter 2, and verse 1. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. And this is going into the Illuminati here. Right, the 13 banking families, including the Rothschild, the Rockefeller, the Oppenheimers, the DuPonts. Alright? You know, all of them who run the system, the banking system, and all the they run the main corporations of the world. And Trump is their servant, right? So woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hand. And they covet fields and take them by violence. You know, and this is going into the same executive orders too, you know. They could come and, but they could institute martial law and take your house, take everything you need from you. Right? Take your life too. Right? And houses, and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. And that's talking about Jake's heritage. Right? That's our heritage, according to Jeremiah 17 and 4. Right? You know? What's the heritage? Let's go there for those who may be new. Jeremiah 17 and 4 says what? And thou even thyself shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee. And I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not, for you have kindled a fire in my anger which shall burn forever. And this is what's going on right now. You know, we still feeling the effects of the curses, right? Which, according to Deuteronomy 28, verse 15 to 68, as well as the 2/3 are going to be feeling it even more in time to come, right? And let's go back to Micah 2 and let's read verse 3. Alright? Therefore, thus saith Yahweh, behold, against this family do I devise an evil. And what family he's talking about? He's talking about the family of Esau, right? From which ye shall not remove your necks, neither shall ye go haughtily, for the time is evil. So the Lord going to destroy them, and it's a matter of time. So that family, is Esau, Edom. And Lord willing, I'm going to do another video on that, basically going through, an idea of who is Esau, Edom, and also proven from the book, from the Apocrypha as well, that Alexander the Great was an Edomite. Alright? So you can stay tuned to that, watch out for that video. Alright, let's go to the book of Habakkuk, chapter 1 and verse 6. Alright? For lo, I raise up the Chaldeans, that bitter and hasty nation, that shall march through the breadth of the land to possess the dwelling places, right, that are not theirs. They are terrible and dreadful. Their judgment and their dignity shall proceed before them, because they're proud. And this Chaldean is going back to the Edomites, right? Their horses are also swifter than the leopards, and are more fierce than the evening wolves. And their horsemen shall spread themselves, and their horsemen shall come from afar. They shall fly as the eagle that hasteth to eat. Yeah, and they're gonna come in, they're gonna come, according to the book of, let's go to the book of Revelation. Book of Revelation, chapter 11, verse 11, right? Right? Salakia. Revelation 12 and verse 12, right? Rejoice, therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and the sea, right, which is the people, for the devil is come down unto you. The devil is Esau, Edom, right? Having great wrath, because he knoweth he had but a short time. And Esau, Edom is the physical representation of the spiritual, the angel Lucifer, right? Left hand side, yeah, they are devils, right? So they're gonna come down having great wrath. And how they're gonna do it? They're gonna do it through these executive orders, right? Through martial law. Alright? That's how they're gonna do it. Alright, so let's jump back to the book of Habakkuk, chapter 1. I believe it's verse 8, verse 9. Alright? They shall come all for violence. Their faces shall sup up as the east wind, and they shall gather the captivity as the sun. And they're going to gather the men, people that will want to put them in concentration camps, right? And they shall scoff at the kings, and the princes shall be a scorn unto them. They shall deride every stronghold, for they shall heap dust and take it, which is dust is confusion. Alright? Alright? Alright, so let's go to the book of let's go Habakkuk 2, verse 3. Alright? For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it shall surely come. It will not tarry, and as the coming of the Lord. Alright? This time at the end, the evil day is coming too, and the day of the Lord is coming. Alright? And its darkness and not light. Alright, verse 4. Behold, his soul which is lifted up in him up is not upright in him. And that's Esau is talking about there, But the just shall live by his faith. Yeah. Yea, also because he transgressed by wine, which goes into his wicked philosophy, his homosexuality, his lies, his deceit, right? Right? His evil, his wicked laws, draconian laws, alright? This covering cast that he casts over the people, so they wouldn't know who they are, according to the scriptures, alright? Yea, also because he transgressed by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied. And that's why they do all this. They can't be satisfied. They want everything. They want Jake for possession, right? They don't want the kingdom to end, according to Psalms 49 and 11, right? They believe that the kingdom will last forever, right? They don't want this kingdom to end, and that's what they're doing right now. They want to control us. They want to be our gods, all right? That's what they really want. All right, they cannot be satisfied. but gathereth upon him all nations, and heapeth upon him all people. Alright? All people. Not some. Alright? Yeah. That's what the Lord said. Well, they just heap all people unto them. Alright? And let's go to the book of let me go to the book of Obadiah. Book of Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 6. Alright? Yeah, I'll start from verse 5. If thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Right? Would they not have stolen till they had enough? Yeah, and Esau had enough. They had us in slavery for over 350 years. Right? They built up the economy. As Trump said, they made America great. And he still want to make America great again. He still want to keep us in captivity. Alright? Okay, he hasn't had enough. You know, the rape, robbery, and murder. You know, he hasn't had enough. Both northern and southern kingdoms, he did that too. Did that. But these white men, these Edomites, so-called white men actually. Salakia. If the grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some grapes? But Esau not going to leave a single drop. Alright? All praises to our Bashem Yahushai that we be able to see this, right? Verse 6. How are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? And the Lord is revealing everything to us now. Praises to his name. Alright? Let's go to the book of Psalms, chapter 4 and verse 10. Salakia. Let's go to the book of Psalms, chapter 64 and verse 4. It reads, that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not. And that's what they're doing right now. They've been doing that for a while now. Alright? They encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privily, which is privately. They say, who shall see them? Alright? You know, with the secret societies, you know, that's one of the biggest things they work on, is secrecy. You know, but Yahushua Yahushai is exposing them. It's like we see, you know, in Obadiah 1 and 6 we just read. Alright? How are the things that Esau searched up? How the hidden things revealed. Alright? They search out iniquities, they accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart, which is the mind, is deep. Right? Because they sit down and think about these things and plan these things, right? Alright? But Yahweh shall shoot at them with an arrow, suddenly shall they be wounded. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away, and that's what's going on right now. The Edomites talking about what the elites are doing, you know. And you know, it's just a matter of time. The Lord is going to come and he's going to destroy them, right? Alright? And all men shall fear and shall declare the work of Yahweh, for they shall wisely consider of his doing. The righteous shall be glad in Yahweh, which the righteous is Jacob. Certainly not Esau and the other nations, right? It's Israel. Right? The righteous shall be glad in the Lord and Yahweh, and shall trust in him, and all the upright in heart shall glory. Alright? So we're gonna win in the end, you know. You know, and there's a scripture I like to pull, you know, and close it off with that, you know. I mean, it might seem sound like a cliche scripture, but it's a powerful scripture. Right? 2 Ezra 6. Alright? Alright? It's 2 Ezra 6 and 7. Then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the times? Or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. And this world is changing hands right now. This place is changing kingdoms right now. You know, and that's why Esau is going to come down having great wrath. But Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, you know, is not gonna allow all of his men to die. Alright? You know? I know I was gonna close it up there, but let me go to this one scripture, you know. Isaiah 59 and 19. Let me get it in the Blue Letter Bible. It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 59, and verse 19. So shall they fear the name of Yahweh from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, which is what we read in Revelation 12:12, right? The Spirit of Yahweh shall lift up a standard against him. And that is the standard that the Lord is going to lift up, right? Which is what you're going to give his men spiritual powers, right? And we're going to be able to defend ourselves against the wickedness and the technology of Esau. And the Redeemer shall come to Zion, and unto them that turn from transgression in Jacob, saith Yahweh. Alright? So that'll be the end of the story right there. So all praises to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai Bashem Rakakodash. I pray this lesson has been edifying to you, right? The elect, right? Kalalal Yahweh Bashem Yahushai Bashem Rakakodash. Wa Abad Babal. Shalom.